There's no shortage of videos, articles and books offering analysis of the mega classic Alien film, and I've personally produced many hours worth of studies on the film too, but near enough all of the analysis out there is oriented toward the nature and history of the alien species, the visual designs and how the film was produced. However, one aspect of the film which I often hear spoken very highly of, but haven't heard any deep or detailed study of, is the incredibly convincing human characters. Again and again I hear people say that there is a feel of convincing realism to all of the human characters in Alien that the other movies in the franchise fail to live up to. Even the second movie, Aliens, which does have great acting and well-written characters, somehow it doesn't quite reach the level of convincing characterization of the first movie. In fact, I struggle to think of movies in any genre that come close. So for years there's been an unconscious question mark in my mind about this element of the film, but like most other viewers and critics, it seems, that question tends to remain buried under all the conscious fascination with the sophisticated story, the technological designs, and the dark horror imagery. But for some reason that I'm not sure of, the characterization puzzle came to the forefront of my mind recently. Is it the quality of how the dialogue is written? Is it the acting, and if so, what's different about the acting compared to other movies? Is it something to do with the cinematography, the lighting, the costumes, the editing? What is it that gives this surreal outer space horror movie its unique ultra-realistic human feel? So I watched Alien yet another time and took a batch of notes specifically about that subject, and the result is this video that you're now watching. Now you probably won't be surprised to learn that there are multiple factors that contribute to the film's convincing characterizations. However, before we jump the gun and get into a chronological breakdown, I will start off by stating one major conclusion I've reached. This is something I found very unusual and consistent in the movie, and which contrasts greatly against how most other movies are acted. Film and TV acting tends to include a lot of exaggerated gestures and exaggerated vocal patterns. It's like there's a secret catalogue of standard facial expressions, vocal inflections, and physical gestures which actors have subconsciously learned during their years of watching other actors on screen. Actors tend to model their technique on other actors that they respect and admire, but I think really good actors model their technique more on what they witness from real people in real life. And so you get the method acting techniques used by the likes of Robert De Niro, where they will go and hang out with the real people from the real world, such as with the movie Taxi Driver, go and become a taxi driver, hang out with real taxi drivers, and then base your performance on that, instead of basing it on other acted taxi driver roles in other movies. This unconscious catalogue of standard acting gestures tends to make a lot of movie performances come across as fake, cliched, wooden, or whatever label you want to apply. By mismatching the audience's own knowledge of how real people react to a given situation, those common movie acting gestures remind the audience that they are watching a staged performance, and thus it breaks immersion in the story. It breaks believability. In some ways, there is a good reason for movies having a separate language of human expression that differs significantly from people in real life. People in real life can be very difficult to read and predict because so much of what they think and feel is hidden. Sometimes it's hidden by conscious choice, but a lot of the time the individual doesn't even realise that they are hiding their thoughts and feelings. In simpler terms, people in real life hide most of their true thoughts and feelings, but characters in movies tend to go out of their way to express their thoughts and feelings. Being that we cannot step into the mind of a fiction character and experience their thoughts, film acting uses exaggerated gestures and unusually open expression to make sure that the audience has a reliable idea what the characters are experiencing. That very skill that we call acting illustrates the point. Acting is as much about suppressing one's own true thoughts and feelings during the performance as it is about simulating the fictional character's experience. Inevitably, all this results in a lot of film acting not being very convincing. Alien, however, contains very little of the standard common acting cliches, and I believe the biggest factor in how it achieves this is that instead of having the actors over-express their experience, which is like holding up descriptive word sign posts for the audience to read, "Oh, this character is feeling angry. Oh my god, this character is feeling sad." Instead, the characters in Alien do what people do in real life. They hide most of their true thoughts and feelings. In most of this film's acting scenes, My impression is that each character is suppressing some particular thought or feeling. There are a lot of other films that try to do this and fail. Especially in the last decade, a trend in film is to have characters who just look blank and emotionless all the time. Blade Runner 2049. It's supposed to make us feel like the character has a rich and complex internal world that they keep hidden, but most of the time it makes the characters simply seem empty and underacted. What Alien does that separates it from those movies is that it includes a lot of acting details that are clues to the hidden internal experience, clues as to what the characters really think and feel. After all, that's what we people are like in real life. So let's go through the film's acting scene by acting scene and break it all down. The first we see of the characters is them awakening from hypersleep. Usually in movies, transitions between being asleep and awake happen a lot faster than they do in real life. Not here though. We get the realistic gesture of the limbs appearing to slowly awaken and do their own thing while the head is still mostly asleep. We have the very slow adjustment of eyes to light, again true to reality, and a dissolve makes time drift, just like when we are waking up in the morning, time is hazy. So without a word being spoken, this film already feels unusually real at the level of basic human physiology. John Hurt also has a face that tends to look generally tired in most of his movies, so maybe he was cast with that in mind. First, dining scene, and the dialogue is at first jumbled and hard to follow. Things aren't being said here to tell us plot points, it's just standard human waffle. And everyone is doing casual, banal little things. Again though, not to communicate plot points. Everything they're saying and doing here appears to be just incidental, which tends to give realism to any story. Several of them look sleepy too, and in addition to John Hurt, I think Harry Dean Stanton, Veronica Cartwright and Tom Skerritt might have been cast because they too tend to have a sleepy look about them. Tom Skerritt particularly tends to have a very lazy or sleepy sounding voice, no matter what movie I've seen him in.
Well, you get what you contracted for like everybody else.
His clothes, posture and beard make him appear lazier still here. So a general emphasis on laziness and tiredness so far. Before Alien, most sci-fi movies had characters who were constantly awake looking, purposeful and ready to explain plot points to us. Those cliches are often associated with scientist characters, as if scientists don't get sleepy or don't get emotional. In my video Hypnotic by Design, I talked a bit about how states of sleepiness among the characters in this movie are part of a hypnotic effect, emotionally disarming the viewer for when the scares come later. But I also think it works on the level of realism, not just because we don't normally see movie characters being lazy and unmotivated, but it also communicates the sense of frustration and unhappiness that each of these crew privately carry with them. They're chatting and they're laughing here and there, but beneath it is their consistent feeling of being dehumanized and imprisoned on this ship. Let's explore some of the dialogue. Parker tries to be funny and only Brett properly laughs.
Hey, yeah, I feel dead. Anybody ever tell you look dead, man?
Actually, there is something that is actually properly funny about that. You look dead. Well, he's going to be the one that dies first from the aliens, so it's almost like his fate is already sealed at the start of this movie. So yeah, you look dead. You look like your fate is sealed. Anyway, I don't know if that was an intended joke for the audience there. But one of the biggest mistakes in filmmaking is having characters try to be genuinely funny or to sound genuinely intelligent or whatever it is, only for half of the audience to sit there and think, well, no, that wasn't very witty at all, or no, this character is a bit of an idiot. It breaks identification with the character and reminds the audience of the poor scriptwriter's presence. Here, though, a lame joke is presented as exactly that, a lame joke. Hence hardly anyone laughs, whether it's the audience or the other characters. The quality characterizations in this movie aren't just about what is present compared to other movies, it's also about what is not present. Hardly ever in this movie do characters come across like they are trying to impress the audience with their looks, intelligence or comedic wit. They act as if there is no external audience to impress. That's a very, very important point. Furthering that notion, there is hardly any attempt made here to make the actors look trendy or attractive. they've got bland costumes, and a general lack of makeup as far as I can tell. More dialogue, a brief debate about who gets paid how much. This is a good example of the duality present in most of the film's acting. The debate over pay is a very sore point. It's something that pisses the characters off, but the debate is conducted in a deceptively casual, jokey manner.
I think we ought to discuss the bonus situation.
Right.
Brett and I, we think we deserve full shares, right?
Right. See, Mr. Park and I feel that the bonus situation has never been on an equitable level.
Well, you get what you contracted for like everybody else.
Yes, but everybody else gets more than us.
Dallas, mother wants to...
Straight after, Parker is told flatly by his line manager, Captain Dallas, that he gets what he contracted for like everyone else. Parker gets a sly dig back at him that's easy to pass off and miss.
Okay, get dressed, huh? Parker, go on.
Can I finish my coffee? Thank you. It's the only thing good on the ship.
Other movies tend to ham up the drama of these kinds of dialogue scenes, often with exaggerated acting, but not in Alien. Like often happens in real life, the hostile feelings driving this debate are disguised behind unconvincing fake laughs, unconvincing fake smiles, and artificially friendly voice tones. That especially happens in workplace debates, as is the context here. We have the common workplace phenomena of some workers prompting others to speak on their behalf because they are unwilling to do it themselves. All this dialogue quickly establishes some important character relationship dynamics. We now know that there are unresolved hostilities among the crew and poor communication about those issues. All this later contributes to their inability to deal with the alien species. Regarding the overall framing of the movie, note that there has been no discussion of science or technology yet, and very little in the way of actual plot points. A lot of science fiction movies put technology or exotic alien worlds at the forefront from the outset, but not here. The opening focus of this movie is on basic human realism, to the point that this table discussion could just as easily take place on an oil rig in 1979. Make the humans convincing first, and then the audience will stay on board for the science fiction surrealism.